Okay, so.
Okay, so.
Did you hear that? Okay. So.
Okay, so.
There it is again. What is that?
Okay, so.
Oh. Okay, so.
Okay.
We get it. According to the giant voice that has manifested itself in my YouTube video, it is time to sew something. That means we need to get to my hobby room. Okay. That didn't work. I'm sorry, I'm new to YouTube magic. Let me try again. I'm okay. Oh, I guess it changes your clothes too? And the time of day. Okay, so... Well, anyway, we are here to sew. And after about 10 years of me talking about it, I think now's the time. So let's get started. So this is my hobby room. Mostly my sewing room. And like good little YouTube viewers, you're gonna ignore this mess over here, and we will deal with that another time, just like I do. So to start, I thought I would make things easy on myself and just do the side seams of things that needed to be fixed, but it wasn't easy at all. I got a lot of practice ripping out seams. And I read through my manual 2 or 3 times to make sure I was even doing the stitch right. 3rd time's charm. Let's see how it looks. Oh. When I first started sewing with a sewing machine, like on my own, not somebody else's sewing machine, I would tangle the bobbin all the time because I'd forget to put the presser foot down. And every time I did it, I couldn't figure out how to fix it, so I had to take it to my grandma's house to fix it. One time, it was the very first thing I did as soon as I got home after her fixing it. I was so embarrassed that I didn't sew again for like 3 years. You ever feel like when you have a hard time getting started, it's a sign that maybe you shouldn't do what you're trying to do? Well, I don't believe in signs. And that's a good thing. Because not only did I have trouble getting the sewing machine to even sew the stitch twice, but once I successfully did, see that? Isn't that pretty? See that? Where I didn't sew it into the other side? Oh, it's great up here. Down here, not so much. Do you really care about seeing me sew it? I mean, it's not like you're learning anything. What not to do when fixing your clothes. Oh, hallelujah. Can you see? Can you see my funky stitches? But it's together. It's done. Okay, 1 down. I think it's about high time we had a break. What do you think? I don't know how these serious sewers do it. Oh, that's right. They're better than me. God. 1 down. I was serious about that break. It's happening. After my initial screw up, some of the other things were a bit easier. I just put a hem on these pants and didn't try a blind hem stitch, which you'll see later. This dress just needed a back stitch to hold it together, and unfortunately none of the footage I have really shows me doing a good back stitch. So I've inserted this footage that I found from canva.com. What you do is you go ahead as though you've gone 2 stitches and then go back 1 on the front side. So it ends up looking like this. One of the things that I am not looking forward to that needs to be fixed are my socks. Just whacked myself in the face. I used to just throw socks away because they're cheap. I'm trying to be more efficient. So we're going to fix these and we're going to darn them. I've never darned socks before. I've never darned anything before. They actually make a device called a darning mushroom or a darning ball that you can use to put into the sock or whatever you're darning to make it a round shape. I don't have one of those, and so it suggests that you use something else that's a round shape, and it suggests a light bulb. That sounds super dangerous to me, especially somebody like me that's just prone to breaking stuff. Maybe I'm not prone to breaking stuff. Maybe that's just something I've convinced myself of. Either way, I do know that I am prone to being terrified of breaking stuff, so we're just not going to do it. What I'm going to use instead is the best round item that I could find, and that is my dog's Kong. Can I use it? This works really well, actually. To darn, you would basically go horizontally across the stitch and do a running stitch on each side to go back and forth. My boyfriend told me a story the other day about two socks that wanted to go to a dance. One sock said to the other sock, "You can't go to the dance, you've got holes." The sock looked down at itself and said, "Well, I'll be darned. I'm a very lucky girl." You'll see that he's still got treats in his Kong. He hasn't figured out how to get them out yet, so we just keep putting them in there. Really, he just gave up. But one of these days, I'm sure he'll figure it out, and he'll have a bunch of treats waiting for him. I did give him a treat, by the way, in exchange for the use of his Kong. So then once you have all of your rows of stitches going across, you would take and weave through the stitches you have going vertically down the hole. So you're essentially making your own bit of fabric with the thread. If you're concerned about not going fast enough, you should know that I sped this up 400%. Alright, one of the things I have to do is sew on some buttons to the one dress. And I mean, I know how to sew on buttons. Everybody knows how to sew on buttons. How hard can it be, right? But just for shiggles, I'm gonna Google it and see if there's something I don't know. How to sew a button with pictures. Perfect. Okay, so choose your button and thread. Got that. Thread the needle. And push the button through the fabric. Oh yeah. Places. Wait. I stand corrected. Apparently I don't know how to sew buttons. But now I do. First things first, you take your button and you figure out where it's going to be on the dress. You take your threaded needle, go up through the back side so the knot ends up on the back, and what I did was I put the needle through and then I put the button. Otherwise I just kept poking the back where the hole wasn't. And then down through the other hole. And this is the first thing I didn't realize. You take a straight pin and you put it underneath the button, in between the button and the fabric, and then it doesn't end up so tight against the garment. And I never did that correctly before and just kind of wiggled it loose after I was done. Then you just go through one hole, down the other, up 10 million times until you're sick of it, basically. When you're done, you go up through, but not through the buttonhole. This is the other thing I didn't know. And you just wrap that baby around like 6 times. Don't count mine, because I got tangled and had to unwind. I don't know how many times I went around. Make a small stitch and tie it off. I wasn't sure what to do with my underwear that has holes in it. What I decided was that I will sacrifice one of them for the greater good and use it to make patches. And I'm going to hand stitch it because the material is stretchy and it's really thin, and I think that it's small enough that I can handle it. So the first thing I did was I marked out how much of a patch I would need from the other one. And if you're thinking as I'm drawing this that you can't even see my marking, don't worry, I couldn't either. I ended up going back over it with Taylor's chalk. I don't understand these pencils. People say to wet them. I don't know. I think they're just garbage. Then I cut out my pattern, pinned it in place, and I actually cut a little bit more off after I had it pinned and realized the parts I didn't need. Then I just did a basic whip stitch. A whip stitch is one of the most basic stitches. If you're a kid, you're given a needle and thread and some fabric. It's either a running stitch or a whip stitch that you're going to come up with on your own. It basically goes around the edge of the patch and through, just like that. I felt it would be the most comfortable against me. And then you just tie it off. Ta-da! They're even both purple. Look at that craftsmanship. And this is the blind hem stitch, and probably the thing I am most proud of. Blind hem stitch is a way to hem in a way that the hem line is virtually invisible. So you start with thread that's the same color. You just take a couple threads that go through the front side. Then you make a long stitch inside your folded hem. Now my folded hem was serged at the end. Typically you'd have the raw edge tucked down, so you'd be sewing into a fold. But because mine was serged, it was just a flat side. So long stitch through that inside, and then just take like 2 little threads. My biggest problem with this was that I wanted to take too much that showed on the outside, and you can actually see on the pants where I got better at this because it got more and more invisible. My biggest concern was strength, and once I remembered that this isn't really a stitch that's made for strength as much as it's made for, just hiding the fact that you stitched a hem at all, I got a lot better at it. I also wasn't making my long stitches long enough in the beginning. I got better at that too. This is also my first attempt at using a thimble, and sometimes I use it kind of comically too much, just because I was trying to get used to it. I did later realize that I really should put the thimble on my ring finger. Most people wear it on their middle finger because that's what they use to push the needle through, and that's the finger you want it to be on. I actually use the side of my ring finger, so that's where I should wear it. Honestly, I feel like if I had like a silicone glove I could wear, that would be ideal. But I don't know if they make such a thing. Do they? I mean, that would be a great idea. If somebody doesn't make it already, they should start. I want royalties if somebody does that. And then just tie it up at the end. You can see little dimples, but for the most part, the hem is invisible. And I think I did a pretty darn good job on that hem. I know you didn't think I was gonna actually model the underwear, right? Well, I am glad that's over. Now we can get started on the fun stuff. So I will say, one thing I took away from this. Hi, can I help you? Oh, no. This is the solo part of the show. Can you get down? I promise I will give you your chair back as soon as I'm done. I will say that one thing I learned from all of this is not to be afraid of hand sewing. I hate hand sewing, honestly, and I avoid it at all costs. but so much of the repairs that I did could only have been done by hand sewing. It really didn't take as long as I thought it would. It's probably something I could have done while I was watching a movie, had I not been trying to film it at the same time. Point being, if you, like me, hate hand sewing and try to use your machine as much as possible, sometimes you just need to suck it up and hand sew, and it might not be as bad as you think. If you're as excited as I am about all of the fun projects coming up, consider subscribing to this channel. Don't forget to give this video a like and comment below with any neat projects that you might want to see me tackle. That's all for today, though. Until next time. I have this problem with my shirts where, like, they always seem to rip in the same spot, right here, where this hole is. I don't want you to have anxiety for me, because I can assure you, I have plenty of my own. I get super excited about doing this, and then it's time to do it, and I don't wanna have to practice sewing to get good at it. I just want to be good at it. It'd be really sad if I end up ruining this shirt because I think I know what I'm doing and I don't. Don't put pins in your mouth. How did I lose my top and bottom threads? Ugh. Oh, it's been a day. Should probably just have a channel entirely made up of blooper reels, times that I tried to do something where it didn't work out.